Hey guys, this is a just quick demonstration of how to buff and wax your boat. In this video, I'm using a Flex rotary polisher with a wool pad, and I'm using Diamond Cut by Meguiar's mixed with an Ardex polymer based sealant. I think the ratio is about 50-50 on this boat. It changes depending on the level of oxidation. This boat was moderately oxidized. The section I'm working here is getting clearer and brighter as I'm going back over it. As far as technique goes, you can see that I'm working left to right with overlapping passes. After I've done that left to right movement, I'll move up or down about half a pad's width so that I'm following that same line with overlapping patterns, and then I'm applying more product to the center of the pad or near the center of the pad, and starting again, going back over, following my pattern left to right or right to left, overlapping passes. Now right here I get to where I have to go to one hand. It gets a little bit wobbly in that spot, and your tendency might be to think that you have to press down harder when it wobbles. You want to actually back off and lighten up your touch when it wobbles like that, and that'll smooth it out. Or change the angle of the handle depending. Here's a view of where I've done. To the right you can see it's glossy and shiny and reflective. To the left you can see it's fairly dull and flat, and there's some black streaking even in there to the left of where I just pointed. Just moving on through the work, trying not to get that canvas with my wax, which in most cases you'd want to unsnap that canvas and move it out of the way. In this case I did not, but I've been doing this for quite a while, so I was working as carefully as I could. Alright, so this is just more of the same left to right motion. One thing I want to talk about is you'll notice my pad is real flat on the surface. There's several different ways to buff. The way I generally will buff moderately oxidized boats is try to keep the pad flat, try to work the product on the center of the pad, and then use that left to right motion. You can also go up and down. You can do a cross pattern, so you first move left to right, overlapping, and then once that section you're working is done, you change direction, reapply wax, go up and down, moving to right or left while going up and down, overlapping, if it's heavily oxidized. Generally, if you're doing it right and doing it slow enough, you only need to follow that one left to right pattern. If you back off and look at the surface and you're seeing it splotchy or uneven in how it shines, that's when you might want to consider doing an overlapping pattern, a cross pattern. In other words, instead of just going left to right like I am here, finishing off by doing the same thing, only vertically up and down. All right, so a lot of people will take their buffer and put the wax on the boat and spread it around, and then tilt the buffer sideways so they're working what's called on edge. In some circumstances, that works really well. If the surface is heavily oxidized and just really needs to be cut hard, I found that working on edge can help with that. Also, as a finishing technique, some people will do that if the boat's already been buffed and they just want to put another layer of polish into it. I believe that if you work on edge, a lot of times you'll create more swirls. In other words, those circular, shiny, reflective scratches that you see once it's done, those are swirls. I think working on edge typically will cause a lot heavier swirling, which is why I try and stay flat, overlapping, because you will create a swirl regardless. If you do the way my technique is, I believe you'll end up with the least amount of swirls, which is why I try and follow that rule on big, flat, wide open surfaces. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe.